Episode 1 called I forgot already. What?
Good question. I don't even know what it's called.
Professionals. Look at us
We're
go.
pros. Hello and welcome to the Lunchbox Reviews. So we're back with our weekly stuff with episode 1 of Loki. It's called Glorious Purpose. And before we get into anything spoilery, first let's start with everyone's thoughts on the episode overall.
I'll just say simply, I enjoyed it. It was like a Loki's greatest hits, but from the perspective of the Avengers Part 1 era Loki, so like full villain mode, and he's kind of he's getting Scrooged there, where he gets like all his ghosts, like the ghosts of Loki past, present, and future, and he gets it all in one shot in a nice compact episode. Really cool cosmic stuff, like the stuff I love, like just that view of that city. I wish it would have stayed there longer, even though it was pretty
city,
long.
right?
Yeah, it was beautiful. Like, go figure, one of the characters is called Mobius, because that shot reminded me of the artist Mobius, who drew some comics, and just unbelievable cosmic artwork. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the show. It's got me hooked. And this one, I might forgive the Mephisto talk, but we'll get to those spoilers later.
Yeah, I have to echo the same. I enjoyed it. I honestly, of all of the shows so far, this is the one that I wasn't confident about going into it, because I've never really cared too much about Loki as a character. I'm just like, he shows up, he's entertaining. He's by far not one of my favorite villains. I don't like, I feel very neutral about him. Already I'm like, no, this is fun. I really like it. I like kind of how they're setting everything up. Like, I won't spoil the episode yet, but I already have theories and I'm excited about it. So
Yeah, same as everybody. Like the first scene already got me, and once we got to the TVA, I love that look of the whole retro. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of like I can't remember what they were called in the Umbrella Academy, but it reminds me of that look.
Yeah, I have a whole thing about that. Yes, absolutely.
And just I think Michelle was talking about earlier how she didn't really care about Loki. Same, but then like a couple of scenes in this series, in this episode, gave Loki so much depth in just those few minutes that I'm like, I'm in. And plus time travel, that's kind of, I like that when everything is just messed up. So I'm hooked and I'm ready to go 6 episodes with this thing. I like it. And with that, we're gonna go full spoilers now. You know the deal. You can just come back later or screw it, just watch us, whatever, but you'll miss a great show. So I guess we can start off basically in the very beginning, where Loki left off in Endgame, right? Steals the Tesseract. He ends up in the Gobi Desert. He gets captured by the what are they called again? It was
TVA.
Time Cops, but that's not it. Minutemen. Sorry, they're called the Minutemen.
Yes.
Which is such a fun name. Such a fun name for Time Cops.
It is. So what do you guys think of that very start episode? The very beginning of the episode.
I liked it. I mean, it starts us off right away. Like, the questions that we had from Endgame, okay, where's Loki go? Like, what happens? That was my hope of what's going to happen here. Is that's what's going to happen. We're going to figure out what happens from that, like, misadventure. So I love that it just kind of threw us in immediately. Like, here's what's happening. Here it is. No, like, not a lot of preamble. It's just here's the information, and let's start the show. And I really liked that. As opposed to, like, it's hard not to compare it to like the other Marvel shows. WandaVision, episode 1 and 2 is like setting up this world, so it felt really slow. Like, I didn't personally love it. This one, immediately we're in it, we know what's happening, let's go. And I adore that.
Yeah, I mean, you know the stakes right away. Like Loki's imprisoned. He's presumably gonna pay for his crimes against time. Even though I'd sign up to be his lawyer because he gets to plead ignorance on this one. It wasn't his fault. He's just grabbed the Tesseract. It really was the Avengers' fault. I agree with him. But we'll get to that. That was his trial. But no, the opening scene was really cool. You get to see like the time gadget where that cool portal that you walk through.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and the weapon is like the time delay weapon that like Loki gets smacked and he just stays there with his mouth. It's just, what a cool special effect that was. Yeah. I loved it.
It looked like he was like blowing a slow motion raspberry. Yeah. It was great.
It was really cool. And yeah, Loki getting humbled and arrested, it never gets old. Absolutely.
So yeah, basically the same as what you guys were saying. I'm just gonna add a little bit about that really cool slow-mo scene where they kept it on Loki for a little bit. So you're thinking like everything is that slow-mo, and then the Minutemen just come in and just like takes him away. I was like, I love it. So okay, moving on. Loki is taken to the TVA. Here we see the TVA in all its glory. We get to see Miss Minutes, I think she's called. And for those who don't know, it's voiced by Tara Strong. Pretty sure everybody knows that, and explains the multiverse war and why the Time Lords, I can't remember their names again. But yeah, so there was multiverse breaking up and they decided to just do one sacred timeline. What do you guys think about that?
I really enjoy it reminds me of Jurassic Park and like the
exactly.
DNA sequence. Yep. Like all you need is them locked up on the little thing and just going on the track. But I love just like the explanation of everything, and the Time Lords and the TVA. There's certainly a mythology there, and I'm looking at the picture of the 3 Time Lords, and like, have you guys seen the picture? Or well, obviously you watch it, but like, did you take a good look at it?
One of them and looks, no.
Kang? Yeah, sorry. Yes, thank you. Yeah,
I saw that.
Looks like Kang. Yeah, and I'm like, wait, that has to be Kang. There's another guy with like this big mustache, like was a Dum Dum Duggan. I don't know. Something's going on with these 3 characters. Like, is this like the tease for the next big trio or like big bad for Marvel? I don't know, because like this whole TVA thing seems really heavy, and basically it dwarfs the gemstones in all aspects, as is revealed later on. But it's a cool little explanation. But like it gives us something new, like a lot new.
I mean, I agree. Like, I don't understand, like, as a not having read the comics and not knowing the grand lore and accepting everything at face value, I'm like, this makes sense. I'm on board. And I loved that kind of moving forward. It answered a lot of the questions I had immediately, because I'm like, okay, how can you have this whole like time cop situation, but then you let the Avengers get away with everything that they were doing in like Endgame and all of the repercussions there. And I mean, I think the way they explain it away is a little weak, but just like, oh yeah, that was meant to happen. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
There's so many questions with just their logic. Right.
Yeah. And I'm intrigued by that. Like, anything time travel, because you know, you set up a set of rules for time travel in your universe, and then if you immediately break those rules, it makes me very suspicious. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, because they're like, yeah, here's how it is, but just kidding, we let all these characters do just whatever the hell. And I don't know, like, are we gonna see some type of scenes of like these Minutemen going back and like fixing those timelines after? Like, I'm curious to see how, if we'll see anything more of that, or if it's going to be like just explained away by like, oh, the Avengers are, no, we wanted them to do that. But I like all the explanation. Like, I understand what's going on, and I feel good moving forward.
Yeah, again, I agree with both of you, but the moment they said there was like a multiverse before all this, there was like a great multiverse war, already my mind is thinking like Multiverse of Madness, the Spider-Mans are coming. Hey, Fox Universe. That's the thing. Was that another multiverse that it gives me hope that, because we know that we can just take the best parts out of those whatever universe it is and put it to the MCU, right? There could be an explanation in here, but yeah, let's see. I'm really excited with this TVA thing. And actually, I don't know if you guys were paying attention to her Miss Minutes whole spiel. Like she had the word madness and multiverse all on the same sentence too while she was explaining the whole thing.
Ooh,
So that's a doozy.
wow.
Yeah.
So I wait. I'm just gonna say this. So you got Doctor Strange with the multiverse, and then you're gonna have Quantumania with Kang, and like it has to be a tie-in, like one of those Time Lords. I'm like I'm almost positive that is Kang because it even looks kind of like Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I assume like these next few movies we're dealing with time and the multiverse. I don't even know what's coming out. Well, not the Eternals or Black Widow, but certainly Doctor Strange, probably yeah, Spider-Man and Quantumania. So I'm looking forward to that because like that's stuff that I want to see from the comics into the movies that I enjoy. Skrulls, no. But
Skrulls
Tom,
never.
yeah, Skrulls, no.
There was a straight up Skrull in this. You saw
There-
that, right? The variant Skrull,
Wearing the
like, right at the
Adidas.
desk.
Yeah,
Bro,
that's it. Yeah,
get out of here.
yeah. Hopefully, he
And
was found guilty.
even Kevin Feige is making appearances in the Hellfire Gala. So
That was dope. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So after that, we go to 1954 France. This is where we meet Mobius, and I'm pretty sure they were chasing one of the variants. It wasn't really shown there, but we can see this little girl, and then we see in the window pane a picture of the devil. I know. What did you guys think? I'll go last because I spoiled myself already when.
Well, like, come on, why are you bullying us with Mephisto? I don't get it. Like, I see that, I'm like, I'm so scarred from WandaVision. I'm like, that's not Mephisto. Like, they'd have to explicitly punch me in the face with him and be like, this is a Mephisto for me to understand. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I had to reel myself back in because I'm like, oh, Mephisto. Like, it's confirmed. He's right there. Like, it's a demon.
Like you can't get more obvious than that. It's right there.
It's literally like I'm like, it's no hand in the corner. It's no whatever tiny little
Tiger
thing.
theory.
It's no tiger. That's still a thing. I swear to God.
Oh my God.
But it's, you know what I mean. It's right there. But I'm like, are they? They're not. Dude, what? No way. So I'm just so sus of anything having to do with Mephisto now.
I'm curious what the hell kind of church has a stained glass art set piece of the devil, and like you never get that because like usually stained glass windows depict like either like a memory or a celebration. I like, if anything, it's like the 15 stations of the cross of Jesus dying. That's about as dark as it gets. Or like it's usually like a saint or someone holy. It's never the devil in all his glory, because that is not something, you know, to worship in church. So that was weird. But okay, so yeah, Mephisto. Oh boy. like look, after WandaVision and me just like derailing all Mephisto talk, like I wasn't having it because it would have taken away from Wanda's like, in my opinion, it would have taken away from Wanda's story arc. This at the beginning of the show, okay, it might be Mephisto. I have my doubts because I can't see how Mephisto figures in to like multiversal threats. However, and this is comic reader me, I'll provide some comic book spoilers for Heroes Reborn, currently happening in Marvel right now. Mephisto actually created an alternate reality in which the Squadron Supreme are the main superhero team, and the Avengers are just they have no powers, or they're forgotten, or they've disappeared. So only Blade is in this universe, and he's tracking down the Avengers to snap them back to reality. So that's what's happening. That's like, as far as I know, that's Mephisto's multiversal tie-in. In this, I don't know. I have a feeling it is Loki. It is some version of Loki, because that makes sense. Because Loki, after all, he's a shapeshifter in the comics. Could be a shapeshifter in this. I fully expect him to see different versions of Loki, a child, a woman, whatever Loki. That's what I'm thinking.
And you are right. I was watching an interview with the director. She said, I think it was a couple days ago, where it's like before episode 1 came out, she's like, okay, before you guys get into Mephisto, this is not Mephisto. This is supposed to represent Loki. So she said it right there, just so people don't start going crazy again like we did for WandaVision. But then, is it now?
It's all a ploy. Then turn around, it is Mephisto. She's like, it's definitely not.
It's not Mephisto, guys. Wink. But strangely enough, there was just jumping a little bit ahead here when Mobius and Loki were talking about, and they were talking about some place where the nightmares.
Oh yeah,
maybe that ties into Nightmare. Maybe he's the king of that realm. So yeah. Anyway, Loki's in court now, and this is the part where he learns that his powers are completely useless. The judge asked him, how does he pleads guilty, nothing works. And as he was about to be, I guess they're gonna call it reset, this is when Mobius shows up and asks the judge that he has a plan to use Loki. So what do you guys think about that whole scene over there?
I mean, I wasn't expecting to see Owen Wilson just period. So him as Mobius, I was like, oh, cool. And it honestly took me like a minute to realize it was him. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't expect to see him in this role. I don't know why, but I like this character. I think it's an interesting, parallel to other characters that recruit people to do stuff. Just in this universe, there's so many at this point who are kind of doing that. So I'm excited to see them kind of continue to have this back and forth, because we do see that further on, Mobius kind of making fun of Loki a little bit and showing him his past and his, not necessarily his future. He doesn't show him that purposely, but things like that. I really like the, not necessarily buddy cop banter that we got from Falcon Winter Soldier, but I like this kind of I don't know, this rapport between the two of them, and I'm excited to see that potentially grow, especially now, moving forward into the episode. Loki's been very honest with Mobius, and I think this is the most honest he's probably been with literally anyone ever, just about his motivations and stuff. So I feel like they could bond and have this interesting friendship, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I felt the exact same way seeing Owen Wilson. I'm all here for Owen Wilson. It's awesome to see him and stuff. And funnily enough, the last time Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson were in a movie, I think it was the last time, but I do remember they were in Midnight in Paris, a time travel movie in which Owen Wilson went into the past, and Tom Hiddleston played buddy that who?
Fitzgerald, no?
Fitzgerald, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. He did. Yeah, yep, exactly. Yep. So it's funny to see him in another time travel escapade.
I forgot about that movie.
And
I like that movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Can't mention it because Woody Allen, but anyways, yeah. So, but it's really cool to see Mobius as a Loki fanboy, because who wouldn't fanboy over Loki?
Yeah, same. I have nothing more to add, so we can just go to the interrogation room. This is where Mobius kind of just gets into Loki's head, ask him what his deal is. We learned that DB Cooper was actually Loki, and it was a bet that he lost against Thor, and this is Michelle was talking about it earlier. This is where he's shown the his timeline of where he's supposed to be, and how he was responsible for the death of his mom. What do you guys think of that whole? This is like their first conversation that they have, and I guess I can go first. And that I thought it was really cool that Mobius got into Loki right away, because we know that this is the Avengers 1 Loki. So this is still kind of the evil Loki that we kind of know. And I think he was just trying to get some humanity out of him out of there. So I really like that scene just for that. And I love that, as Alex was saying, he's a Loki fanboy and he knows everything that Loki will do and did. So yeah.
Okay, I was just gonna say I wasn't a fan of the DB Cooper thing. Like the whole thing was just really weird. It's kind of like, hey, check this out, you did this cool thing, and it didn't really go anywhere. It was just he sort of fell out of the plane and flew. Like I understand it's like a neat little I don't know, I guess like a cameo of something that happened in the real world, but to me it just didn't work. It felt a little out of place because they were just talking about like the major things he did, like in the movies. But yeah, that was just the one complaint I had about that.
Can I add to that complaint? Because I don't know who DB Cooper is, so I was like, am I supposed to
Exactly.
understand what's happening? I'm like, is this a like I thought this was like an Easter egg to something that I just didn't know. So I was like, is this really cool? And I'm just like not understanding. I just fully didn't get it. So it seemed to you, Alex, I was just like, I don't. Okay, like I hope that's cool for somebody. Like I hope someone really likes the scene, but it does nothing for me.
I know it's not even a comic book thing either. DB Cooper's just like a real world thing, right, Lou? Because I had to Google it. Yeah, just a real world thing that happened. Like just a story of some dude that did the exact same thing but disappeared from the plane.
Huh.
So it's like this great mystery.
Yeah. So
That seems
the
like an
joke
obscure
is it's
reference
actually
to me.
Loki that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinda
Like,
weird.
oh, am I just under a rock? Is this a really well known thing?
I had to
I
Google
feel like
it.
if they were gonna do something like that, they could have done a more iconic name, if that makes sense. Like, oh, it was, what I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but something even more iconic. So we'd actually know the name and be like, oh, well, that's funny. Because if it was like, oh, you're, oh, God, I can't even think of anything. Like, no, I got nothing.
He could have been Rasputin, getting stabbed and shot and everything, right? Like I would have understood that one, but the DB Cooper's a little obscure, like you said.
Yeah, he could have been like Brutus. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would have been like a little too much, but you know what I mean.
Okay, so the only thing that I give that scene a little pass is if they start sprinkling in other things throughout the episodes. Like maybe there's a memory of, like you guys were talking about, he could be Rasputin and like as a joke, or so if that was one off, then they didn't need that. But if there's little nuggets of him being like bets with Thor or whoever, and then it adds to the kind of the humor in the scene, then yeah. But again, if that was a one off, then it was, yeah, they didn't need to do that. So after that, Hunter B15, I can't remember her name again, but she's Hunter B15. We last saw her in where did I see her last?
Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft.
She's our girl Ruby.
Oh yeah.
With Kang.
Get her losing her damn skin out of my head. That's disgusting. Anytime I see her, unfortunately, that's what I picture, and I don't love that for me or her. But she's great. I adore her. She's spectacular. But oh man, that's an association.
So she comes in, stalks Mobius, is a problem apparently, and Loki, being Loki, escapes, and he asks Casey for the Tesseract. He even threatened Casey that he was gonna gut him like a fish, and of course Casey goes, "What's a fish?" And this is also where we see the drawer full of Infinity Gems that are completely useless in TVA. Loki realizes that I think he mentioned they're the absolute power. So what did you guys think of that scene? I really loved it. It was funny.
It feels hard for me to wrap my brain around the fact that we've been through so many Marvel movies and things where the Infinity Stones are these like next level objects just to see them used like this. Like they're just little
Right?
trinkets in the drawer. And he, like Casey literally said some of the guys use them as paperweights, I think he'd said. And that to me is just like, how has the TVA been existing so powerfully this whole time? Like, and they could have just nullified all the stones by just having, I don't know. That just like, I don't dislike the scene, but it just has me asking a lot of questions of it. And I can't confirm, but I think he took a time stone and never put it back. So he might have that in his pocket.
Ooh.
And I have theories because he picked one up and I never saw him return it. And I was hoping for that.
Yeah, that would be on brand for Loki.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like eventually it'll be useful to you. Like I would have taken them, absolutely. Take a whole handful. Why not? They're paperweights. Can I have a bunch of paperweights, please? So I think that's interesting, but it like unbalances a lot of the Marvel universe for me. So I'm hoping to see that become more balanced or make more sense later on.
I'm gonna drop the comic nerd knowledge today with like just a neat little reference. There was the very last DC and Marvel crossover was JLA Avengers. I recommend everyone reads that because it's really cool. But in it, there was a competition between the two teams to collect like cosmic items, really powerful cosmic items. One of them was the Infinity Gauntlet with the stones, with the gems. And the glove was on Apocalypse, the DC planet where Darkseid rules. Darkseid had the glove. He had it on. It didn't work though, because in that universe, those gemstones have nothing to tap into. So it might be a little of that where it's like just the location that it's in, the no gemstones would work just by value of just being there. So I have a feeling that might be what's happening. That's why the gemstones are just useless paperweights there. But besides that, the scene was funny, and I would not want to live anywhere where there are no fish.
What's a fish? What's a fish?
Come on, no fish.
He's lived his whole life behind a desk, he said. This poor guy. Poor Casey. He's already, I feel so bad for this little guy. And then he almost got vaporized, and his cart got vaporized, so he had nothing to do now. So
I don't forgive you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex, for dropping that knowledge, because that scene was actually kind of breaking my head. I didn't want to really think about it. I was like, I gotta wait for like episodes to figure out why this is. But in that scene, I want more Casey for the whole series. He was really funny. And that's it. Team Casey. Hashtag Team Casey.
Okay, I comply.
After all that, Loki kind of does that thing where he goes back to the interrogation room, and so he replays the rest of his timeline. He watches the tape. He sees his future, and this is when he finds out that he dies, so he knows that he shouldn't really exist anymore. And this is where Mobius comes in, and he actually admits that he doesn't enjoy hurting people. It's just part of the illusion. It's how he wants everybody to see him, basically. So to me, I think this again is just Mobius testing Loki's humanity. And there you have it. In just a few minutes, we see he kind of goes back to the Loki that was a fully developed character in Endgame. I think was the last time we saw him.
Yeah. No, Infinity War.
Infinity War, before Thanos does another snap at him. So what do you guys think about this scene?
I mean, I'm glad. I feel like this scene and the entire like looking at his past and his future really just served to catch Loki as a character up to where he would have been.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like where we expected him to be as a character. Because not only do we see him die, but we do get to see him actually have some really positive moments with Thor. And I think that's also really important for Loki's character, of like the scene from Ragnarok where Thor is talking about how like much he wanted to be close with Loki and how he really wanted a good relationship with him. And then you see them fighting together at the end of Ragnarok. You see the scene with Valkyrie, which like, my girl, hell yeah. So that was really good to me because now it feels not only is he severed from his like negative purpose of ruling, but he's like almost being connected to like the other thing that would tie him to existence, which would be Thor and like his relationship with him, especially knowing now that both his mom and dad are dead because he did see both of their deaths. So he knows Thor is the only one like connecting him to anything at this point. So I like that. And yeah. I have a theory, but I don't know where to say it, so I'll just hold on to it for a second.
Theory's coming up, right?
Yeah.
Theories coming up.
Coming up, okay. I've got nothing else. Like Michelle put it perfectly. Like they're like it's a one episode, just catching Loki up, character growth, like self-contained story right there. You get Loki to where he would have been, where he's not just a one-dimensional villain, but he's a little bit more. He's a little more in the gray area, and I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with both of you again. When I learned that a lot of these people were given 2 episodes to review, and I was like, oh no, what's the first episode gonna be like? But no, it was kind of a cool first episode. It answered all the questions that we needed. It gave Loki the depth that we know he had, and that's all done now, and we can continue just with the story. And this is where Mobius then basically recruits Loki to find more variants of himself. And then the next scene is I think it was in Oklahoma, where we see the hooded figure, and I can just start off by being really excited finding out which Loki that is. I know there's a bunch of Lokis, from like a female Loki to a kid Loki, so that's all I got from that scene. I just like, I can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. What about you guys?
I really want to see Kid Loki because like the woman Loki, it was all right, but it's just that like I'll explain coming soon. But it was just like it was Loki in Sif's body, so it didn't really feel like it was in a weird period after Thor Ragnarok. But anyways, I'll explain it.
I'll explain that later.
I'll explain that later. But I do feel like those are Lokis. I do feel like being his mischievous self somehow. And now that Michelle mentioned the time gem, that could be what the hell the reason is right there. So that's what I will say.
Yeah, I mean, I know Loki is a shapeshifter. I didn't think of multiple Lokis as being a thing. Like I thought of 2, but not like multiple, more than 2. So that's interesting to me, because to me, like Mobius said to Loki, like, oh, he's like, why do you need me? What are we hunting? I'm hunting you. Like, he literally said that. And I'm like, okay, there's an evil Loki running around. Like that makes sense to me. So I'm excited to see how that plays out, especially now thinking more about like the shape-shifting aspect. I want to see some crazy looking Lokis. Like that's what I'd like to see. Just like, don't give me just humanoid, give me something weird and wild, because I know he turns into a snake and bites Thor, so like what about a big old snake? That'd be cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see, also just to see Tom Hiddleston potentially playing like more versions of Loki, because we've seen him play essentially 2 versions of Loki so far, like villain Loki, power hungry, and then kind of like more humanized, sadder Loki. And I like both of those, so I'm excited to see what other ones there could be.
So that leads us to the end of our episode 1 discussion. Before we actually end this off, I know it's early on, but does anybody have theory so far?
I do. From the moment this show started, my theory is exactly the theory that I think a lot of people had, but I think this is going to give us the answer to said theory. Is it Endgame or Infinity War where Loki dies? I literally don't remember.
Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Dies, yeah.
In Infinity War, in the scene where Loki dies, there is the shadow that looks like Loki in the background. And there's a lot of theories that it was another Loki. Hello, this is him. This is where he is.
Oh.
This is it. This is literally the answer. I will absolutely lose my mind if that is not correct, because they go through a lot of effort in this show establishing the fact that there is still a Loki that exists. The Loki we're watching in the show is an extra Loki. This one needs to be destroyed. You can't return to your timeline because there's already you there. But if Loki returns to his timeline upon his death, then he doesn't mess up anything because there's not two Lokis. That's just like a time travel thing. Like that's a, time travel theory. You can't like see your own self in time travel. It's going to unravel stuff. But I think that could explain the shadow that looks like Loki because it's this Loki. Because I don't think we're going to go through the entire show of having this Loki for them to kill this one at the end of the show, which is what is supposed to happen. He's supposed to help and then he's supposed to be erased. There's no way he's going to allow that. Maybe he'll take the time stone and he'll go try to save himself, or he'll go replace his dead self in the timeline.
I like it.
I mean, yeah, I really like it. Like Loki, knowing Loki, he always has something up his sleeve, and like I don't think him being reset it would sit too comfortably with him. Because when he died, he only died because it was a great sacrifice, right? He wanted to help his brother. Like that was it for him. But this Loki, I don't know. But I like that theory. The only theory that I'll talk about is just the Mephisto element, and I'll just start by saying comic book reader me always paired Mephisto with like Silver Surfer, right? Like he would be predominantly a Silver Surfer villain, or like tied to Ghost Rider. But I do think that there is a particularly interesting story to tell. That's Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, and Mephisto. I forgot the name of the story. Mike Mignola, who created Hellboy, he drew it. But that's it. That's why no Mephisto. I'm standing by another stamp. No Mephisto. Every episode, I'll be saying the same thing. No Mephisto. But that's it. I've got no other theories. I'm just hoping to see more cosmic craziness.
Same. I have one theory, and it's not really a theory, more of a kind of I wish this would happen, but I'm hoping to see a glimpse of Kang.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
I mean, you did. You did.
That's why I'm like, are we gonna see Kang? Mr. What's his name? Nathaniel Richards.
Oh God, yes. He is a Richards.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll still be a Richards.
We'll see.
Who knows? Yeah. I have no idea.
So as for now, maybe I'll have more theories in episode 2, but for now, that's just kind of a wish, is to see Kang, like a more, not a is that Kang, but oh shit, that's Kang. And I guess that's it for our Loki episode 1 review and discussion. If you guys like what you're seeing, please give us one of those likes, subscribe, thumbs up. The rest of our Lunchbox socials are down below, and we'll see you next week for episode 2. I'm joined again by Alex and Michelle.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye.